Imagine standing at the edge of a bridge, watching a runaway trolley racing toward 5 unsuspecting workers. You have only seconds to decide. One small movement could save 5 lives, but it would cost one innocent life. This is not a scene from a movie. It is one of the most famous moral thought experiments in human history. Known as the trolley problem, it forces us to confront uncomfortable questions about life, death, responsibility, and choice. Why do most people choose to pull the lever in one situation, but refuse to act in another? What does that say about human nature? More importantly, what does it reveal about how we make decisions under pressure? This simple story has been used for decades in universities, courts, and even military training programs. It challenges our deepest beliefs about right and wrong. And as technology and artificial intelligence advance, these questions are becoming more relevant than ever before. Today, we will explore how this dilemma connects philosophy, psychology, real survival stories, and modern life. The trolley problem was first introduced by philosopher Philippa Foot in 1967, but it became famous through later discussions by scholars like Judith Jarvis Thomson and Michael Sandel. At its core, the problem asks a simple question: is it morally acceptable to sacrifice one person to save many? In the first version, you are the driver who can pull a lever and redirect the trolley. In the second version, you must physically push someone to stop it. Even though the outcome is the same, most people react differently. Studies across cultures show similar patterns. People are more comfortable with indirect harm than direct harm. This suggests that morality is not just about numbers. It is also about intention, emotion, and personal involvement. Our brains process these situations differently. Logic and feeling often collide. Understanding this conflict helps explain why ethical debates are rarely simple. Psychologists have studied these dilemmas using brain scans and behavioral experiments. When people consider pulling a lever, areas linked to reasoning become active. But when they imagine pushing someone, emotional centers light up. Fear, empathy, and guilt overwhelm logic. This shows that morality is not only philosophical, it is biological. Our ancestors survived by forming strong emotional bonds. Harming someone directly threatened social trust. Over thousands of years, evolution shaped our instincts. We learned that violence within the group could destroy cooperation. As a result, modern humans still carry these ancient reactions. Even when logic says one life for 5 makes sense, emotions resist. This tension between reason and feeling defines many ethical conflicts in everyday life, from medical decisions to warfare. One of the earliest moral theories connected to this problem is utilitarianism. Developed by Jeremy Bentham and Stuart Mill, it argues that actions should maximize happiness and minimize suffering. From this view, sacrificing one to save 5 is morally correct. Numbers matter more than individual identity. This idea influences many public policies today. Governments use cost-benefit analysis to decide healthcare funding, road safety measures, and disaster response. However, critics argue that pure utilitarianism can justify cruel acts. If happiness is everything, then almost any sacrifice can be defended. This raises dangerous questions. Should innocent people ever be used as tools? Is there a line that must never be crossed? Opposing utilitarianism is deontological ethics, most famously associated with Immanuel Kant. Kant believed that humans must never be treated as mere means to an end. Every person has inherent dignity. From this perspective, pushing someone to their death is always wrong, no matter the benefit. Rights matter more than results. This idea shapes modern human rights laws and legal systems. It explains why organ harvesting without consent is illegal, even if it could save many lives. Kant's philosophy protects individuals from being sacrificed for collective goals. But critics say it can be too rigid. What if refusing to act leads to greater tragedy? These philosophical debates are not limited to classrooms. They appear in real survival situations. One famous example is the 1884 case of Dudley and Stevens. After their ship sank, 4 sailors were stranded at sea. With no food, they killed and ate a young cabin boy to survive. 3 survived. When rescued, they were charged with murder. The court ruled that necessity is not a defense for killing. This case shocked the public. Many sympathized with the sailors. Others feared the precedent it would set. Should survival justify killing? The law chose principle over outcome. Paragraph 7. Another tragic example is the 1972 Andes plane crash. A rugby team's plane crashed in the mountains. Survivors faced freezing temperatures and starvation. With no rescue in sight, they resorted to eating the bodies of the dead. Unlike Dudley and Stevens, they did not kill anyone. They used what was already lost. When rescued, society largely forgave them. The difference mattered. Killing versus surviving on the dead triggered different moral judgments. Again, intention and action shaped ethical responses more than numbers alone. Modern medicine faces trolley-like dilemmas daily. Doctors must decide who receives limited organs, ICU beds, or emergency treatment. During pandemics, these choices become brutal. Triage systems aim to save the most lives, often prioritizing younger or healthier patients. While practical, these systems raise ethical concerns. Are some lives more valuable than others? Who gets to decide? Medical professionals carry heavy psychological burdens because of these choices. Many suffer from moral injury, a deep emotional wound caused by acting against personal values. Artificial intelligence has revived the trolley problem in new forms. Self-driving cars must be programmed to respond to accidents. Should a car protect its passenger at all costs? Or should it minimize total harm? Surveys show people want cars to save the most lives, but prefer buying cars that protect them personally. This contradiction highlights human selfishness and fear. Engineers now work with ethicists to design ethical algorithms. Technology is forcing ancient moral questions into code. Military strategy also reflects trolley logic. Commanders often weigh civilian casualties against mission success. Drone strikes, bombing campaigns, and counterterrorism operations rely on calculations of acceptable loss. While leaders speak of precision, mistakes happen. Innocent people die. Each decision carries moral weight. Soldiers and pilots must live with these consequences. History shows that ignoring ethical limits can lead to atrocities. Moral reasoning is not a luxury. It is essential for preventing abuse of power. Everyday life contains smaller trolley problems. Choosing where to donate money, how to spend time, or which policies to support involves trade-offs. Helping one person deeply may mean neglecting many others. Supporting one cause may weaken another. We constantly balance compassion and efficiency. Most people are unaware that they are practicing moral philosophy daily. Religion also addresses these dilemmas. Many traditions emphasize the sanctity of life. Islam, Christianity, Buddhism, and Hinduism all stress moral intention and restraint. While interpretations differ, most discourage intentional killing. Faith provides moral frameworks that guide believers in extreme situations. For many, divine accountability matters more than worldly outcomes. Cultural background influences moral judgments. Studies show that collectivist societies may lean more toward outcome-based reasoning, while individualist cultures emphasize personal rights. However, no society fully adopts one approach. Human morality is complex and layered. It blends tradition, emotion, law, and reason. Philosopher John Rawls proposed another idea: the veil of ignorance. Imagine making rules without knowing your own position in society. Would you accept a system that sacrifices individuals? This thought experiment encourages fairness. It reminds us that moral decisions should consider vulnerability. Social media has created new ethical challenges. Online outrage can destroy lives based on limited information. People justify attacks by claiming they serve justice. But is public shamming a form of moral sacrifice? Once again, ends are used to justify harmful means. Ethical education is not about memorizing rules or learning complicated theories just to pass exams. It is about training the mind to think deeply before acting. When people study moral philosophy, they slowly become more aware of how easily emotions, pressure, and personal interests can influence decisions. A person who reflects on ethics learns to pause, even in stressful situations, and ask important questions. Who will be affected by this choice? Am I acting out of fear, anger, or convenience? Am I respecting the dignity of others? These habits do not develop overnight. They grow through reading, discussion, and self-examination. In many societies, ethical education is ignored in favor of technical skills and financial success. But history shows that intelligence without morality can be dangerous. Scientists, politicians, and business leaders who lack ethical awareness can cause massive harm. True education must shape character, not just careers. Throughout history, societies that followed one moral theory blindly often faced serious consequences. When leaders focused only on results, they sometimes justified oppression, censorship, and violence in the name of greater good. On the other hand, societies that followed rigid rules without considering human suffering often became cold and unjust. Moral extremism in any form leads to imbalance. Real wisdom lies in understanding context, listening to different perspectives, and remaining open to self-correction. Great thinkers did not claim to possess final answers. Instead, they questioned their own beliefs constantly. This intellectual humility protected them from fanaticism. In modern times, where political and social debates are highly polarized, this lesson is more important than ever. Refusing to question one's own moral position can turn ordinary people into supporters of cruelty without realizing it. The reason the trolley problem remains relevant after so many decades is that it reflects the hidden structure of real life. We are always standing at invisible crossroads. Every major decision involves sacrifice, whether we admit it or not. Choosing one career means giving up another. Supporting one policy means ignoring another. Spending time with one person means having less time for others. Even doing nothing is a choice, and it carries consequences. Many people prefer to believe that they are not responsible for negative outcomes if they did not act directly. But moral reflection teaches us that inaction can also cause harm. Avoiding responsibility may feel comfortable, but it does not remove moral weight. The trolley problem forces us to face this uncomfortable truth. At its deepest level, moral philosophy is a journey inward. It asks us to examine not only what we do, but why we do it. Do we help others because we truly care, or because we want praise? Do we follow rules because we believe in justice, or because we fear punishment? When no one is watching, when there is no reward and no punishment, what guides our behavior? These questions reveal the core of character. A person who reflects honestly may discover contradictions and weaknesses. This can be painful, but it is also liberating. Self-awareness allows growth. It transforms morality from a social performance into a personal commitment. Over time, this inner discipline shapes how people treat family, strangers, and even enemies. As the world becomes more interconnected and technologically advanced, ethical challenges will only increase. Artificial intelligence, genetic engineering, climate policy, and global surveillance raise questions that humanity has never faced before. In such a world, technical skill alone is not enough. Without moral wisdom, progress can become destructive. The trolley problem reminds us that behind every statistic are real human lives. It teaches that convenience should never replace conscience. There may never be perfect solutions to moral dilemmas, but the willingness to think seriously, to listen respectfully, and to act responsibly is what keeps societies humane. In the end, ethics is not about being flawless. It is about trying again and again to choose humanity over indifference.